Walter doesn't want to miss a beat.
We're talking about two people carrying something and whether there is liability or not liability if two people do a malacha. So when it comes to something very heavy, Igel Shel Dvela was like a pressed fig cake. It was very heavy. Or Bekor Botil Shesarabim, where you have a very heavy beam. In both of these cases, Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Im lo yochel echad lo tziu. One person could not carry it by himself. Lo tziu shnayim, and two people carried it chayavim. So then there's a chiyuv. The imla pturim. If both of them could carry it by themselves, and they both carried it, then there's no chiyuv. And Rab Shimon Omer Aval Pishlo Yochel Echad Lo Tziyu V'Tziyu Shnayim. Let's say even one of the people could not carry it, and they both carried it, they also pturim. He learns the pasuk very simply. Lekach nemer bash sota. Yachid shasa chayiv shnayim shasa pturim. So Rab Shimon is the most lenient, and he says no matter what happens, if two people do a malacha, you're potter, because that pasuk is very specific. The liability is only when one person does a malacha. It doesn't make a difference whether there's capability or not capability of carrying it or not. It's not significant, says Rab Shimon. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it depends. You can't have liability even if two people carry, and we'll see why that is. What is the machlokas here? B'haikra. The pasuk says, "V'nefesh achat techte bishkaga me'am haaretz ba'asota achat mitzvos Hashem asher lo ta'asena v'Hashem." It's a pasuk in Vayikra Dalet. Reb Shimon said, "Tlosa mi'ute ksivi." There are three mi'utim, three exclusionary statements. Nefesh techta, it didn't say nefashois, right? It didn't say plural. Nefesh techta. So it replies achas below shtayim. That is the miut that says that only one person can be chayiv for a malacha, not two. Then the next miut is the word bas achas techta. Then it says bas. So it says like close to miut ksivi. It says nefesh techta, achas techta, basoisu techta. Those are the three miut. Chad limiute ze oiker v'zemeniach. So we know that by carrying, there are two parts of carrying. There's an akira. You have to lift something up in the Rishus HaYachid, and then you have to transfer it and put it down in Meiniach in Rishus HaRabbi. Now, if one person did the akira, and the other person did the anocha, I mean, ze oiker v'zemeniach, it's limiute. You're not chayv. That's one of the psukim, one of the miut. V'chad is l'me'ute ze yochel v'ze yochel. Let's say each person could carry this item, and they carry it together. They're potter. And the third miut, v'chad, is l'me'ute ze eno yochel v'ze eno yochel. Let's say one person could not carry it himself, but another person could carry it himself, and they carry it together. Now, it's not pashut yet who's going to be chayiv. We'll get to that. But in that situation, according to Rabbi Shimon, nobody's chayiv. You're potter. Even if one of the person could not carry it without the other. That's Rabbi Shimon. That's why Rabbi Shimon says the miyut takes care of everything. We don't care what situation. If two people carry it, you're always potter. Rabbi Yehuda also learns that there's three miyutim. He just darshans the miyutim differently. Chad, he accepts the miyut of lemute ze oiker v'zemeniach. The case where one person does the akir, the other person does the anocha, there's no chiyuv. The chad lemute ze yochel v'ze yochel. He agrees that if both people can carry the thing out by themselves, and they both carry it, then there's no chiyuv. The chad has nothing to do one of the miyutim, where it says Basoisa Techtechta, has I do with Shabbos. The Muta Yochid Shasabai Ros Bezdin. So let's say Bezdin paskins in a mistake, and they permitted something that normally was also, like they said, Chaylev, this Chaylev is permitted. It's really Chaylev. And an individual person went based on this Hoyrah Bezdin and ate the Chaylev, he does not have to bring a korban chatas. Rabbi Yehuda learns that from this pasuk, Va'asoisa Techta. Rab Shimon does not have the miyut for that. Therefore, he holds Yochid Shasab Ras Bezdin Chayiv. That you bring a korban chatas. If Bezdin paskin inappropriately, and they said that this chaylev was permitted, and you ate it, and then they find out that Bezdin made a mistake, then the Yochid also has to bring a korban chatas. Now, if greater than 50% of Klal Yisrael ate the chaylev, then there's another dim called par helam davar shel tzibur. Then Bezdin would be, if more, then the individual people don't have to bring it. Only the Sanhedrin itself brings a par called a par helam davar shel tzibur. It's one of the parim anisrafim that are completely burnt. Nobody eats from it. That's a different din. But so according to Rab Shimon, this concept doesn't exist by Yochid Shasab Ras Bezdin. You're always chai. But Rabbi Yehuda says you're potter because of this miyut. Rab Meir, it doesn't say, the pasuk doesn't read like we darshaned it. Rab Meir, miksiv nefesh techto, achas techto, basoisa techto. No, there's only true miyut tiksiv. It says in nefesh achas techte bishkaga, le'ama aretz basoisa achas mitzvos Hashem. It's only true two miyut, true miyut tiksiv. Chad is the miyut zeh oker v'zeh mediach. Right? If one person does the akir, one person does the anocha. The chad lemeuta yochid shasabar is bestin. But Reb Meir holds even if both people can carry this item by themselves, and they carry it together, they're still chayiv. So that's the three-way machlokas between Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, and Reb Shimon of our mission. Okay. Omar Mar. So let's analyze what we just learned a little bit more in detail. It says zeh yachol v'zeh yachol, zeh yachol v'zeh yachol. Divrei Kol Chayiv. In a previous brisa, we learned that if one person can carry it and the other person cannot carry it, Divrei Kol Chayiv. According to that shita, they're chayiv to bring the korban chatas. The question is, hey minar machayiv, which person brings the chatas? The one who could carry it or the one who could not carry it? Only because remember, the guy who couldn't carry it, well, he's like a superfluous. The guy who carried it gets the chiyuv. The guy who has the capability of carrying himself. The guy who couldn't carry, what did he do? What do you mean? He still helped. He was a messiah. But he wasn't needed. So this is an example of where a Messiah is Misheno Ela Messiah B'Dov. And the Imbola Soisa Levado and Yochel. And if he had done it by himself, I'm reading Rashi, couldn't have done it. He didn't really contribute anything. V'lo choshev midi, v'lo mifter idich, and he doesn't even need a p'tur. Only the guy who was capable of carrying himself and carried it, he's chayav the chatas. Omras vid mishmei derava, afanana mitanin. We have learned the same concept in another context. Haya yoshev agabi amita. You have a zav. You have a male who had three seminal missions and became a zav. There's a special din of tumas mishka v'moisha that normally, for example, if you have a sheretz that's tomei, a person only becomes tomei if you touch it. By a zav, if he sits on a sofa and there's a kli at the other end of the sofa, and he sits on the sofa, the kli also becomes tummy even though he didn't touch it. If there are 10 mattresses piled up, one on top of another, and he sits on the top mattress, which is leaning on the other 9 mattresses, all 9 mattresses become tummy even though he didn't sit on them. He only sat on the top one. That's the special chumrah of Tumas Zav, Tumas Moshe, and Mishka. So Haya Yoshev Agabi Amita, he's sitting on a bed. The Arba Taliyos Tachas Ragni Amita, and there are 4 shmatas underneath the 4 legs of the bed. So the din is tmeos, they're all tummy. Because the weight of the Zav really was on all 4 of them. It's whatever he's leaning on that becomes tummy. If you removed one of the legs of the bed, so the bed couldn't stand. So therefore, you needed all 4. But Reb Shimon Mitayer, only since Reb Shimon is our Reb Shimon of our Reb Shimon, who says that if 2 people carry an item, it diffuses the chiyuv. So here as well, the weight of this zav is distributed, it's like divided between the 4 legs, and therefore he's mitayer the talios, because just like he requires one person to do the malacha to make it chayv on Shabbos, by zav as well, he needs complete leaning. And if it's distributed to other items, like the 4 legs, anything underneath those legs would not be mitah. However, if he was riding a horse, the arba talios tachas raglei behema, then everyone holds tohoivos. I mean, a horse can pick up one of its legs and it's still able to stand. So, freit the Gemara, why should it be Torah? Well, fine. The horse doesn't need the 4th leg. It can stand on 3. But it's a Messiah, it's helping. So you see, we don't care that the siyua doesn't have mamoshus. And therefore, there's a patur. That's why he said, Afanana mitanina. Right? Lav mishum damina Messiah and mamish. So the Gemara wanted to prove from there an assistance to the sheet of that this Messiah ain't b'mamish. No, really, Messiah yesh b'mamish. V'shayni hacha de'akula legamre. By he can lift the leg completely. The horse lifts its own leg, and he doesn't lean on it. So maybe there it's different. However, since sometimes it'll lift this leg, sometimes it'll lift that leg, maybe it'll be like a rolling zav. What's a rolling zav? Milotnan, zav shayamutla al chamisha safsot. A zav was resting on 5 benches. Or al chamesh pundos, or 5 belts. Now, if somehow these things were very narrow, and he was reclining on all 5 benches through its length, so he was putting his whole weight on all on these benches, but if he was only lying on these benches to their width, so his whole weight really never leaned on any of the benches full. Now Yoshan, that's all if he was awake. If that takes place when he's sleeping, we don't know. Maybe he rolled around, and therefore he might have at some point in the night when he was sleeping had lied on all these benches according to their length, And Elalav Mishum Damim Messiah Ein Bo Mamish. Because you see then, by the horse, the fact that each leg can contribute something doesn't really add to the problem, and therefore it's a riot to that Messiah Ein Bo Mamish. It can be done without the person. And he just adds something to it, like one of the legs of the horses where he doesn't need it. We don't care that the fact that it adds, and he's standing on all four legs, since he could stand without it. That's why the zav who sits on it, the taluses are not tum. Rav Papi brings another raya to this concept of that Messiah Ein Bo Mamish. Rav Yosi Oimer Hasus Metame Al Yodav Hacham Al Raglav, that a horse and a donkey, they walk different ways. A horse puts its weight on its front 2 feet, and the donkey puts its weight on its back 2 feet. So therefore, if there was something underneath the horse's front 2 feet, so then that would fulfill the criteria of Mishka V'Moisha for a Zav. And if there was an item behind the back 2 feet, there would be chiyuv for that. It would become tummy. Now, Freit Gemara Vamai. Hakim Sayabadi Adadi. Don't the 2 legs and even the back legs also provide siyua? If we have this concept that even if a leg is not necessary, but siyua is mamish, it should be tummy even if you put it on any of the legs of the horse. Must be lav mishum damim Messiah Ein Bo Mamish. Just the fact that the other legs contribute to some balance of the horse doesn't make a difference, because since the horse can do without it, it doesn't have halachic significance. On Rav Ashi, Afanana mitanina. Rav Ashi says, I bring you another raya. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer. Now there's a din by the Kohanim doing the avodah of the Beis Hamikdash. For example, they didn't wear shoes because there can't be a chatzitza, there can't be a separation between the bottom of the Kohen's foot and the ground, the ritzvah of the Azorah. Otherwise it would be a chatzitza, and it would passel an avodah. Now, raglach aslakli raglach ritzvah. Let's say the Kohen is standing 1 foot on a kli and another on the ground, or ragloach asala even ragloach asala ritzvah, or on a stone and the ground. So royim, we have to do an analysis. If the Kohen is physically capable of standing on one leg, based on his physical status, and if you remove the stone or the kli that this other leg is standing on, it really makes no difference. Avodah suksheira. Then the avodah is kosher. Now, if you remove the other leg and he falls, so you needed even the one leg, avodah psula. Because we view that the leg that was standing on the clear of the Evan, there was a chatzitza there, and he needed the other leg. If you didn't need the other leg, we don't need it. But even so, the Gemara says, we should still view, if Messiah, even if a leg that is not necessarily needed is contributing to the Kohen standing, then when the Kohen stands on a clear evidence, it still should be a chatzitza. Because if siyua yesh bo mamish, if the leg is, even if the leg is not needed at all, but it contributes something, it should have been, avodah should be possible. Must be, right? It's assisting the other leg. Another proof. Ravina, afanana mitani. Kiba b'yamin usmo Messiah. When the Kohen shechted a korban. So one of the processes after shchita, for example, shchita could be done by a non-Kohen, by a zar. But from Kabbalah ve'elef, when the Kohen collected the blood in a kli, Had to be done by a kohen. Whenever a kohen does an avodah, he has to do it with his right hand. So let's say he had the cup in his right hand, but his left hand was helping his right hand. Avodoso ksheira. Frankly, more of amai. The left hand is helping him. If siyua, even though he can do it by himself, but the left hand is helping, it's a misayah. The fact that we say if the left hand assisted here, that it's still kosher, it's lav mishum damim misayah b'mamish, shmami no, it's a good raya. Okay. Amar Mar, we analyze the Baraisa, Zeh Yochel, Zeh Yochel. You have a challah. Each person can carry the challah out by himself. If the two people carry it, Reb Meir Machai. Because remember, Reb Meir didn't learn a miyut for that. Reb Meir had a miyut, only tre miyuti. Was chad to oiker v'zemeniach, and the other was Yachid Shasa Baraz Bezdin. So he said there's still a chiyuv, even if two people carry out, even if both of them can do it by themselves. So he boilu. So we have a theoretical question. We've learned, right, that when you carry something, there has to be a shear to carry, like kegroigros. So does this challah have to be at least 2 kegroigros to give a shear chiyuv to each person? Or is it shear echad l'kula? That according to Reb Meir is machayev when 2 people carry it, as long as they carried 1 shear that gives you a chiyuv for carrying, that's enough. Or no, you need 2 shiurim, 1 for each person. Or if 5 people were carrying something, you'd need 5 kegroigos. So Rav Chizr Rav Amnuna, Chad Amar Shir Lazeh v'Shir Lazeh. So one of the Amoraim holds, Eina Chanami, you would not be chayiv unless there was a shear for each one. The Chad Amar Shir Echad L'Kulon. The other Mandomer says no. As long as they carried 1 shear's worth, you'd be chayiv. I see an analogy to our case with Zav. A Zav is sitting on a mita. And we said about Tumas Mishkav Umoishav of a Zav, that whatever he rests on becomes tummy. So you have 4 shmatis underneath the legs of the bed that he's sitting on. So we said tmeos. The bed can't stand on 3 legs, so it needs all 4. Maybe you need shear. Maybe you need the same kind of thing. You need a shear. Maybe you need 4 zavim to sit on the bed to transfer the complete weight on one of the talios. One, it's like each talis only got 1/4 of the zav's weight, so you didn't really get a shear of the zav. Must be lavishum damin and shear echad l'kulon. That no, we only need 1 zav. So 1 zav is enough. Just like the same thing, 2 people don't have to carry a challah worth 2 groigres. They can carry a challah of 1 groigres because shear echad l'kulon. There's an aver on Shabbos of hunting, trapping. So a deer walks into your house and you close the door. Right? If 2 people close the door, they're potter. However, it was a heavy door, and neither of them could close it by themselves, and they both closed it, then there would be a chiyuv. Frankly, more of a mai. We need maybe we would have needed 2 deers. It's not 2 people hunting 1 deer is not considered the proper shear. You needed 2 deers to chayiv, 2 of them, even in a case where neither of them could close the door. Lav mishum damin and shear. Look, why do we say that they're both chayiv? Because you only need 1 shear. Like the same concept, you only need 1 challah worth a groigos. Ravina, afanana mitanim, and give you the same source regarding this issue of shir echad lekula. Hashutafim sheganvu v'taf. Right? We have a din that if you steal a sheep or a cow, and then you shecht it, you have to pay arba v'chamisha. Tashlume arba v'chamisha. And instead of one person who stole it, two people stole it, and both of them shechted. We say they're chayv. Right? Why? Each, maybe they should be chayv if they stole two animals, and each one shechted one of the animals. If they shechted one animal, it's not. They don't have a shir tvicha lezeh. Must be lav mishum damin and shir echad lekulam. You only need one shir. I find another source. Shnayim shotziu konishal gardi. This was a reed that was used by the weavers in the loom. That was the shear that is significant enough that there'd be chiyuv for kotzah. And two people carried it in chayv. Freak the more of a mind. The boy shir atzolazeh, shir atzolazeh. They only need one reed. So that is not so posh. This is the first time the Gemara is going to say that's not a right. Maybe the remember, by a piece of wood, and this reed is also a piece of wood, there's another shear, which is the concept that could be used as fuel to cook an egg, which is an easily cooked thing. And maybe this thing had the shear of cooking two eggs. So the Gemara says, but that's not a shayla. In came l'shmina kana d'alma. That was regular akana. This kind of the gardi, ma'ishkan the gardi. That's because of weaving things. So that we do have a proof to our concept of shir echad l'kula. V'dilma di ispek de l'erug mapel azeb de l'erug mapel azeb. Or has another retort to say that maybe this reed was big enough that it could have been used as a starting loom for two godim, which would be a mapel azeh. So the Gemara concedes, from that case, we don't have a proof. But from all the other cases, we have proofs. And that's the Rambam Paskins. Even if it says, Anoshim achodim shotsu b'shabbos v'locha she'ein haf echad mehem yochol la'sos levado chavim kulam afilu after rakshir echad bilvad. That's how we paskin, even if they only closed one door. Excuse me, they closed the door on one deer, or they both carried out a loaf of bread, which would have one shear kegroigris, they're both chai. That's how the Rambam paskins. Same thing, partners that stole one animal, also chayovin. Now that's exactly the opposite. We've been learning that Rab Shimon always potters because he says whenever there's two people, there's a ptur. So that's why the word is klape laya. Could that be correct? It's not correct. Ema Tanakama says chayovin. Rab Shimon pointed. Okay, new mission. This mission gives us a big chiddush. Hamotzi ochlin pachos mikashir. Bakli. Potter afalakli. You have a big bowl, and let's say the sheer food is kegroigros. And in the bowl, you only have a half a groigros of food. So the food is toffel to the kli. Excuse me, the kli is toffel to the food. We don't care what kli. You're just like your potter for the food, you're potter for the kli, even though the kli is a big thing. Because what you carry, the kli is carrying the food. The food doesn't have the right shear, you're potter even for the kli. Shakli tfeilala. Then, if you carry as a chai b'mita, you have a live person on a bed, and you carry him outside.
Ernie, if you would just carry the kli on its own, you would be chayav.
Yes, you would. But yes, you would.
So how is it that the kli?
Because you don't want the kli, you want the food. In this case, the kli's. If you wanted the kli, because you need use the kli to take water. You got to bail out some. So that's then echanami. Then you're chai for the kli. But here the food is toughl to the kli. Excuse me, the kli is toughl to the food.
I understand, but a kli is the halacha is regarding carrying. Not ayin hachinami. You want only the food, but
it's got to be a mlechas machshavas. So the kli is not the whole your malacha on Shabbos is got to be a mlechas machshavas. So I need to carry a certain amount of food in the kli. You have a food that you wouldn't carry in your hand. So the kli is just a hechatim, how you're carrying the food. So we don't care about the kli. You don't. If in a chanami, you needed the kli, you're carrying the kli because you need the kli for something. Somebody asked you for a kli. You carry the kli out, you're chai for the kli, like you said.
You carry out a big wheelbarrow with a little piece of grain in it that you're not chai for carrying.
But we're talking about you're talking about, let's say like jello. You can't carry jello in your hand. You carry the kli. I would even say water. Can you carry water in your hand? So think of it that way. You need the kli for the food. And if you don't have the right shear, for example, we have a revius mayim. If you don't have a revius mayim, so if you have a revius mayim in a kos, you're not chayav for the kos. You wanted to carry the food out. Since you don't have the right shear for the food, you're potter for the kli as well.
Okay, shkaya, thank you.
Yeah. It's going to get even more interesting, Walter, here. As a chai b'mita, you have a live person on a bed, potter of lamita, shamita tfeilalo. You're carrying the person. It's the mita is being used to carry the person. Now, why aren't you chayiv for the chai? Because a chai is no seis atzmo. A live person adjusts himself to make it lighter. So when you carry a live person, you're not chayiv for carrying it, because it's considered a chai is no seis atzmo. And therefore, you're not chayiv for him. You're not chayiv for the mita. The same svara that we just went through. Shamita tfeilalo.
Yeah, but if a chai is no senes atzmo, then you should be chayiv for the kli, because then you're just clearing the kli. Chai is no senes atzmo, so then you're stuck just carrying the kli. So it should be chayiv on the kli.
The kli is tofel to the guy. You have nothing. You have no interest in the mita. If you were called by Hatzalah, you know what? We need a cot across the street, and so I schlepped the cot up. And you're chayiv for the cot because they needed the cot. Here you need. We're going to see the kavana of what you're doing the malacha for, and whether it's trich lagufa or not. We'll see in a minute what that means. Is part and parcel of whether you're chayav for a malacha on Shabbos. That's why malacha. That's why you need davar shem is kavein. It's not just what you're doing; it's what your kavana is, what your concept is, what your purpose is comes into play. That's what.
So then, even without an eruv, a person should be able to be pushed in a wheelchair. I would say, on Shabbos. What would be the problem with that?
Who says there's a problem with that? I don't know if there's a problem with that because chai knows his atzmo. It's certainly exactly analogous. No, chai is no. A guy in a wheelchair. My son-in-law says he's got a broken leg, so he can't walk. So the Hanami needs the wheelchair. So it could be like that. Yeah. But in Hanami, if it was a totally healthy guy, perhaps that would be so. Weiter in the Mishnah. As hameis b'mita, if you have a dead person that you carry out, so you're chayiv. Because you can't carry the meat, but you only chayiv one. You're not chayiv for the mace and a mita. You don't bring two kachatases. Because, right, if I eat 10 chalebs in one helam, I only bring one chatas. So I did one act of carrying. V'chein chayiv amotzi kazayis b'nameis, u'kazayis b'navela, u'chadosh b'nasheretz chayiv. So even a kazayis b'nameis, you're going to be chayiv for carrying it. Why? Because the kazayis of a mace has halachic significance. It's already metame b'oya. And the same thing by kazayis of nevela and the size of a lentil being v'sheretz. So we follow the halachic criteria. A half a kazayas of nevela, you would not, a half a kazayas of a mace or nevela, you would not be chayav for, because they don't have halachic significance. Rab Shimon Poiter. Rab Shimon, let's read the Rashi. Afilu b'meis sholem. It's a very important Rashi. Even a complete corpse on a mita, you're going to be potter. Dahavi malacha she'ein tzricha lagufa. Why you're carrying the mace out of your house because you don't want the mace in your house. Not that you need the item outside. Since a malacha shetzrich lagufa is, if let's say I carry a board for the Mishkan from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. I needed the board from here to there. So that's a malacha shetzrich lagufa. If I want to get rid of the board from my house because it's preventing me from being able to eat properly, I would be potter according to Reb Shimon. Because Reb Shimon holds malacha shetzrich lagufa potter. Reb Yehuda says you're chayiv. It's machlokas. We paskin like Reb Shimon in the same way by malacha davar shein miskavi. It's a different concept. But here you don't need the mace outside. You're not carrying the mace outside because you need the mace out there. You're carrying the mace out there because you want to get rid of the mace. Says Rashi.
The mace is muktzah on Shabbos, isn't it?
The mace is muktzah. That's why David. But you have to. So you put something. That's so in the din. But remember, muktzah is only rabbana. Muktzah was not midoraisa. So yes, remember by David HaMelech we have the sugya where you have to put a loaf of bread on the mace to carry him out because you could carry him agav the loaf. But we're talking about regarding hotzah. Let's say you carried him the mace. You violated muktzah and you carried the mace outside. You would not be chayav achatas for carrying. Because it's a malacha she'ein tzrich lagufa, malacha she'ein tzrich lagufa, right? We don't need it. All you're trying to do is get the mace out of your house. Havim malacha she'ein tzrich lagufa, the b'tzona labolo. He doesn't want it there. He doesn't need it outside. It doesn't rise to the criteria of a malachas machshavas, and therefore you're potter. You didn't do a malacha that would give you a chiyuv chatas. Rabbi Yehuda argues. Rabbi Yehuda Tanakama, which is Rabbi Yehuda, says, "Malacha shetzikulu for yichayev." The Rambam says, "Hamotzi kazayis v'nameis chayev." Kistam Mishnah, we paskin like the Tanakama. The Yesha pasku Rab Shimon av kalocha zu upotru samotzi kazayis v'nameis she malacha she'ein tzrich lagufa. So machlokas poskim. How we paskin regarding that. Seems like the normative psak is that you're chayiv for it. Ton rabbanon, amoitzi oitlin kashir, you carried food out, proper shir, kegroikos. So, im bakli, if you carried out in a kli, chayiv ala oichlin, upotra la kli. You're not chayiv double. You're chayiv for the food, not for the kli. Let's say you need the kli for something else. So chayev off of a kli. So that's Walter's issue. If you need the food and you need the kli, you're chayev for the kli as well. Freik the Gemara, that can't be. Like we said before, I eat a piece of chalef. I thought it was permitted, and I ate it. And then I need another piece of chalef, and I thought it was permitted. And then I need a third kazayis chalef. I thought it was permitted. Oh, then they tell me, oh, you know what? These 3 kzaysim were chalef, and I thought it was permitted. I bring 1 chatas because it did. Now, if I thought this was a piece of permitted fat and I ate it, and it was then I was told, oh, you know what? That was a piece of chalef. Okay, I'm chayav 1. Then all of a sudden, my mind goes blank, and I eat another piece because I thought it was permitted. And they go, no, that piece was also. So that's shtei halamos. That's 2 periods of forgetfulness. And there I would bring a chayiv chatas. But what the Gemara is asking now is, why should I be chayiv 2 for the food and the kli? Why isn't it like a case like eating 2 kzeisim with 1 hela? Rav Sheish is in a chanami, but this is a different case. Hachma yaskinon Kigon sheshogag ala ochlin vehezid ala kli. Ena chanami. I knew what I was doing by the kli. I was amazing. There was no, the chayiv chat is only on the food, and the kares is on the kli. Umay chayiv, when it says chayiv, it means it's chayiv misa. That's not a chatas. Right? When it says chayiv afal kli, it's not chayiv chatas, it's chayiv misa because he did that with mesa. And we'll go into that a little bit more tomorrow as well. Okay, tomorrow the daf will be at 8 p.m. I'm sorry. The Novi Shir